in middle school, I was starting to like think about religion for the first time. Because during that time, I was doing a lot of journaling. Like I was talking about like political things, like my opinions on stuff. I started thinking about religion and like trying to figure out what I believe. I took a couple tests. At the time, things like Buddhism was coming back, like Taoist. Sure, pagan came up. Some of these religions I ended up following for a while. It's the summer before freshman year. Satan is real. It's called The Entire Biblical Story Told from Satan's Perspective by Bible Animations. For some of us, there comes a day when human explanations don't explain what is going on in our lives. There was some kind of lookout happening at high school for new freshmen. It just meant something so much to me. Just a sign. It's going to feel new age. Stuff you start believing at first, like manifestation. This is back in 2013. I got home. I just remember, like, I was standing in front of the window in my room. Blinds were open. I just felt this presence outside the window. Felt like eyes watching me. It was just like someone's there. Time went on, it was November. At some point, I got stuck on my ex-boyfriend from middle school. It was coming up on the last game of the season. Actually, I see the guy, and he sexually assaulted me that night at the game, and unfortunately, it became a group type situation. That assault was the beginning of the enemy sowing doubt about God before I had even gotten my hands on a Bible. Because of that night, because of my friend canceling suddenly, and me still being dedicated to going, the conclusion I drew was that assault was God's punishment for you not listening to and seeing the signs. I started writing music, like faith tones, religious tones, God tones. First Bible I bought from the Christian bookstore that used to be down the street. It was purple. My little sticky notes and studying that Bible. I don't know when I started practicing Buddhism. Mountain statue, doing the bowing. I started getting into I was messing with tarot cards and astrology and the birth chart stuff. Since middle school, I used to check my astrology horoscope every day. Celebrating pagan holidays. The altar with my Bible on it. The Lord, I did not get into the spell work because I was one toe away from starting to do spells. Brought my Bible to college. The college, we had this like lake down there with my Bible and my tarot cards and like fucking think I was telling the future or something. Never opening the Bible barely, but getting source from whatever the cards were saying. Came back home, I was 20. I was in college for just a year. 21 is when I met my ex-boyfriend. God was nowhere to be seen in that period of my life. That's when I had bought, it was just like, oh, I'm the bride of Christ type thing. I wore on my ring finger. At this Bible, Amazon, it did take me a while to really get into it and start really reading the word, but after finally breaking things off officially with my ex-boyfriend, I really dove deep again. December is when I met my husband. Everything went to hell. I got pregnant with my daughter. That's when I learned the truth about abortion. The night after that whole situation with my aunt-in-law, there was some things she said which made me start to believe that my husband had done all this on purpose. I'm missing something. Something is going on around me that I am not seeing it. I was still with my in-laws. I had started watching sermons again about like anger, forgiveness. I started looking into narcissism again. Ended up finding this YouTube channel. It's a bald guy.
I think it has like royal something in the title, something like that. And he talks about like spiritual matters and then like narcissism. So I came across one of his videos where it was connecting narcissism to demons using the Bible, using the book of Enoch. And from that moment on, y'all, I was kind of like, oh shit, like, this is not a joke, like, so, because at first, I had the whole DSM-5 because of the whole autism thing, and trying to like diagnose myself and find out what's wrong with me because everybody around me is so against me. So, of course I knew everything up and down about every personality disordered areas, but specifically cluster B. And I had, like, I'm talking Dr. Romney, like, just video after video, tens of videos. Dr. Todd Grande, just researching personality disorders, specifically narcissism. And the whole dynamic, the family dynamic that gets built around the narcissist and scapegoating and flying monkeys and all this stuff. So that had been going on for years, but there was something I could not understand. Like every other personality disorder I could understand. But just that one seemed so just inhuman. So when I came across that video later on, I was like, oh my goodness. He wasn't just using the book of Enoch, he was referencing the Bible and then delving into a little bit of the book of Enoch. But he was discussing the giants that are mentioned in the Bible, the Nephilim. Where did they come from? And, you know, the fact that their DNA was not eradicated in the flood. So, you know, what does that mean for humanity? I think he also referenced Cain and Abel. And, you know, that weird, you have to think, why would a brother murder his brother because God favored him instead of him? There are a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of situations like that in the Bible, not murdering the brothers, but where God is not pleased with something a human being does. But I feel like there's examples in the Bible where eventually, you know, God redeems this person, they're given another chance, and they change. I just don't understand taking that other route where it's like you destroy the person who got favored, as though that will bring you favor. But, yeah, so he went into all that. I was like, wow, that's scary. But I still wasn't into the demonology, angelology. I still wasn't believing it. Till things started escalating with my dad. That's when I started believing it. Because now that I was recording, I was hearing him pathologically lie. I was seeing him harass me while I'm trying to take care of a child. I was seeing him use the weaponized incompetence so I would not be able to be focused on therapy. He was doing such things as following me around the house to listen in on my therapy sessions. There was one time where I don't know how the conversation came about, but he asked me why I don't do therapy in the dining room, and he'll watch Delaney in the living room for me. And then I finally realized, I'll tell you, eventually I started going outside to have my virtual therapy. Because at this point it was virtual or nothing. I wasn't leaving my daughter at home with him. Even if I trusted him enough to leave my daughter at home with him, there was the whole issue where when I was pregnant, you can't get 5 minutes down the road. You pretend you can't. So eventually I stopped asking for rides altogether. I stopped taking offers for rides from him. So I was sick of being followed around the house. So I started doing my therapy outside. The Wi-Fi was reaching outside fine because I was just right in front of the garage on my phone. And there would be moments where I would walk to the whole end of the driveway and still have Wi-Fi. As soon as this became a constant thing of me going outside to have my therapy, suddenly the Wi-Fi stopped working. Do I think he was turning the Wi-Fi off? I don't know. So, eventually I started having to do it inside again. But in the basement bathroom. So I'm behind 2 doors now. Sitting on the toilet having my therapy. Eventually, Delaney had to come downstairs in the bathroom with me. The final straw was when, I remember I had switched my outside therapy location and was, because at first I was in the driveway, then I couldn't get a signal. Then I was sitting in front of the basement window. right in the front yard, still my signal was messing up. And then eventually, I had realized that, oh right, we have a side of the house. There's a hill, a little hill I could sit on the side of the house. So one day I was having my therapy on the side of the house. This is not a place you would ever think to find me, right? Suddenly, I'm talking to my therapist, and thankfully we weren't talking about nothing deep. I was talking about how, at this point I had broken up with my now husband. And I was just like, I was talking about like relationships and how I kind of want to date interracially, but I don't want to have mixed children. And, scared to have mixed children, basically. So, it wasn't nothing deep. And all of a sudden, I see out the corner of my eye and I hear, like, a noise. So I turn and my dad's behind the fence right there in earshot, just throwing branches over the fence. He just suddenly, just randomly decided to do yard work. So then I had to move, and Delaney was out there with me. She had finally calmed down. Then she started crying, screaming. So again, another therapy session was hijacked. So she witnessed that, and she was really disturbed. Even my brother, for all his delusion, even he could recognize, yeah, he's listening in. He's trying to listen in on you. So, I was reading the Bible. I was watching sermons. I was learning about the connection between narcissism and like the spiritual realm and what's going on in demons and stuff. It was that famous verse in Corinthians where he talks about why women need to be wearing a veil in church. And where it says, because of the angels. Yeah, let me find it. Is it first or second Corinthians? I'm trying to think. And even when he talks about marriage, it's very interesting now that I'm reading this again and now I'm married, and it's kind of like, and this I say for you, for your own profit, not that I may put a leash on you, but for what is proper, and that you may serve the Lord without distraction, the distraction of marriage. 1 Corinthians 10:21. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the Lord's table and of the table of demons. Or do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than He? Head coverings here. 1 Corinthians 11. It might be a different version that says that. Yeah. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 9. Nor was man created for the woman, but woman for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels. When I read this, I was like, what does Paul mean? What does he mean because of the angels? What is he talking about? The angels who disobeyed God, slept with human women, created the half-breed of the Nephilim, who ravaged the earth. I just recently watched a video about a woman telling her story. Her name is Alice, I know that much. of how she got delivered from like masturbation because she ended up having a spiritual spouse. And y'all, if y'all think demons don't do anything, if you think they can't touch you because it's the spiritual realm, you're very wrong. And basically she explained like masturbation. A lot of people talk about this. How masturbation, you think it's just you. You're not having sex with anybody else. But you are having sex with a demon. So, yeah, they can do stuff to you. But, and basically that a veil is, you know, there are women who veil full time. And I definitely considered and was intending on veiling full time. I had started veiling just when we would go to church. Very subtly, because it's like, I'm a black girl. If I wear a scarf, it's nobody's gonna bat an eye. If I cover my hair, nobody's gonna think she's Muslim. Or that I'm veiling for religious reasons or anything like that. So, you know, when I thought about people, strangers preying on me while I'm outside, I'm like, that seems to be my only signal. It's like a signal of authority, like he says. A signal that says, I'm God, so you cannot touch me. You cannot, like, the Holy Spirit is in me. You cannot approach. I'm not available. So, I did notice a shift in how people acted toward me. It was very subtle. Maybe it was placebo, but I noticed a shift. There have been other situations. There was a park around the corner, across the street a bit from the church me and my daughter was going to. And, like a 5-minute walk from my dad's house. And I would always take Delaney there, just to like chill out in the grass, be a little nature girly. Sometimes she would take a nap under the tree, and I would just like vent. I'd bring my Bible up there and stuff. So there was one day I was walking back with her, and in between, it's like a cul-de-sac. It's a cul-de-sac, and then the park is right there in the middle of this neighborhood. So I'm walking down the cul-de-sac, and in between the houses, there's just this older man. He was probably like in his 40s, early 50s. He was just standing there staring at me. And you know, I looked, made eye contact, and the look on his face wasn't normal, y'all. It was not normal. And I looked away. And I think I was like voice talking to ChatGPT, so it looked like I was on the phone with somebody. And but we got a ways down the street. I looked back and he was still staring. Y'all, you would think this is crazy. I would never think I would be saying this kind of stuff. People is not just weird out here. People are sometimes not really people in there, you know? And that man was watching me in the same way my dad used to watch me. Like, he would watch me. He would watch me walking down the hall. He would stop what he was doing and start watching me. In various inappropriate situations, like when I would be leaving the bathroom in my towel from taking a shower to go back into my room. There's a lot of reasons why I didn't want my daughter around him. Not just the fact that he was grooming my mom when she was in high school. Not just that. It was stuff that he was doing to me growing up. So, I just started to realize, like, no, people are on they're masquerading as people. It's not really people. They're on assignment, monitoring spirits. It's a real thing. So, you ever feel like random people are in on something against you? Maybe you're not crazy. Maybe society wants you to think that you're crazy. Some people really do have delusions. Other people they're calling it gang stalking, but it may just be demons watching you, spirits watching you, to gather information on you, to find a weakness in you, to get you away from God, to make sure you never find God. On and on. People who want to know your whereabouts and won't leave you be. People who want to know where you're going, what time you go to work. They're forcing themselves on you, trying to help you, but that help leads them to having information about your schedule and what you're doing, where you're going, who you're talking to. So you need to be careful. But yeah, all this stuff is going on. I'm in my Bible. I'm watching sermons. I'm researching stuff. And then it all came to a head because I was at church. They did the altar call, and they was like, anybody who wants to get baptized today, just come up. I had decided I was gonna get baptized, but I didn't think it was gonna be that soon. But you know, I took a chance, and I got baptized that day. It was July 13th. It was very scary. I don't know how to swim, so already that was scary. But yeah, it was really scary. But I came up from the water, I was like crying. And then, you know, they gave me a little certificate. And, ooh. It was great. So, I continued going to that church until the gun incident, and I had to leave. Luckily, in that area, I had found another church, Crossroads, and so I took my daughter there, and it was very different. The church that I was going to was a Pentecostal church. Obviously, Crossroads is like more mega church, non-denominational. They had the live band. Delaney had to have like little headphones. But yeah. And then I think I started doing watching the church live streams on Sundays. After that. That might have been after I started talking to my husband again. You know, getting into the whole debacle with my sister and her hijacking the apartment search for some reason because they were trying to convince me to move close to her. Yeah, my siblings decided to go behind my back and decided it would be a great idea for me and my daughter to move up there, close to my sister. To help. But, yeah, suddenly I get money that's been hidden to me, and now everybody suddenly wants to start helping me, controlling where I decide to move to. Yeah. So, I was debating whether to even make a testimony video because I'm not healed. I feel like I'm nowhere closer to being healed than I was at 15 when all this started, but I was just thinking, God don't want perfection. I definitely feel like this could help people, like watching me on my journey, and the struggles that I've had. And this feeling of being overwhelmed by life to the point where you don't make God a priority, or you feel like you can't. But regardless, I started to understand. Spiritual attacks are real. People who are preying on you while you're vulnerable are demons. They are demonically influenced. I don't want to say possessed, but something is dwelling in them, and they are letting themselves be completely taken over by it. Unless you are really, in your late stages of being transformed by the Word of God and you're in there, you may struggle. You may see some of your behavior in these people in the Bible who are not good people. That doesn't mean you're a bad person. The bad person is the one who is doing bad things and doesn't care to change. They don't want to change. But, yeah. And then I come across a lot of shorts of that woman, Kitty. I don't know her real name, or if that's her real name, but and when she gives advice to those women, one time she gave advice and she was like, there has to be a spirit in you that is agreeing with whatever is going on with your man. And so I think about that a lot now. Like, what is in me that is literally in this contract? It don't matter if you actually knowingly sign the contract or not. Sometimes, you get manipulated. And you end up giving your stamp of approval and you don't even know that you did it. So, this isn't love. Sometimes now I do feel like I'm kind of, like this relationship, this marriage kind of resembles signing a contract with a demon who just has like full reign over my emotional state and full reign of impregnating me and having sexual relations with me. Yeah, sometimes it feels very evil. What am I getting in return? My wound is getting patched over. Not filled, but patched over. My wound of loneliness, not being wanted, not being loved, but none of this is real. So how long am I going to agree with this? So like I said, I'm a serious work in progress, and I know God can change me or birth me into who I'm supposed to be, but something in me is trying to avoid that for some reason. Whether it's pride, generational strongholds, it's something. But fear is not of God. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm scared to leave my husband. Something evil wants me to stay. I'm scared to do better for myself. Something evil wants me to be unhappy. So yeah, I'm not giving up though. But I do still struggle with that beginning core false belief of like, God orchestrates horrible situations. No. Even in the book of Job, we see that's completely false. God is not the one doing the horrid to you. Trust me, he is not the one doing those horrible things to you. So yeah, thank you for watching my video. I hope to make more Christian content, talk about stuff like this. Yeah, and I am excited to see myself like become a new woman and most importantly be the mom that my daughter looks up to and just really inspire her. So, good night.